Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch City Council meeting for Tuesday, October 22nd. If you would, please join us for our invocation and pledge, which will be led by Councilman Baird.
Please pray with me. God, we're thankful for this day you've given us. We're thankful for our city, for our residents, city staff, and for our elected officials. We're grateful and thankful for this time we can gather to make decisions, and we pray that you would give us wisdom in making those decisions. Please continue to bless all of us in the city and the city itself. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Next up are our ceremonial items this evening, and our first one is item G1, which is presentation of the Employee of the Month Award for the month of September. So the leadership of the City of Farmers Branch appreciates the effort and dedication and time our employees put into their jobs. The city has a program to recognize employees who embody core values of the city, which are excellence, accountability, care, trust. And we appreciate and recognize our employees' hard work and efforts. The City Council and city staff are proud to present the Employee of the Month Award for the month of September. It's my pleasure to recognize Oscar Pimentel, come on up, as our Employee of the Month. Okay. For the 2 years that Oscar has been with us, he has always been kind and supportive and frequently receives Employee of the Month nomination cards for his strong acts of accountability and care. Oscar makes other people feel safe and welcome, and even goes the extra mile to lend a hand, especially when it comes to removing snakes. Oh. Recently, a large poison snake was reported at the library. Thank goodness I wasn't there. And Oscar took immediate action. Before the library even opened, he came in to locate the snake, successfully cornering it before calling animal control. After the snake was safely removed, Oscar took the initiative to check the area for any other snakes, there's never just one, ensuring the safety of everyone at the library. Oscar always steps in when needed and never hesitates to serve others. He displays exceptional leadership and understanding, and we are proud to have him as our Employee of the Month for the month of September. Oscar, congratulations. We have this beautiful Employee of the Month award that has your name on it. You want to say a few words?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to thank God, my family, my wife is here. Regarding the snake, I think they were trying to get rid of me, to be honest, but they didn't know I had it in me. But yeah, thanks, Chris, my manager, our director, our deputy director has been great to me. I honestly don't know how I actually got this trophy because most of the people ask me what do I do? Because normally they see me walking in the hallways just waving. But so if you guys see a lot of people tomorrow waving, walking the hallways, it's because they're going to see this and they're going to think that's how I got it. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks for catching the snake.
No, no problem.
Okay. Tammy?
I just wanted to add a few words. Tammy Zimmerman, Director of Finance, Fleet and Facilities. So Oscar is, he doesn't brag. He's very humble, but he consistently demonstrates excellence, dedication, and hard work ethic. He constantly has a smile on his face. He goes the extra mile. He's a Farmers Branch resident, so he cares about this city. He cares about the people in it. And we're very grateful to have you on our team. And we thank you for all of your effort and support and continued excellence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is item G2, which is presentation of the City of Farmers Branch Arbor Day proclamation. The Tree City USA program was formed in 1976 to celebrate towns and cities committed to growing their urban canopy. Led by the Arbor Day Foundation, with partners at the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service, and the National Association of State Foresters, it provides the foundation framework necessary for communities to manage and expand their tree cover. So I have a proclamation that I'm going to read, and this is from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas the City of Farmers Branch desires to continue to support the beautification to our city and contribute to the betterment of the environment through the maintenance and care of the existing trees in Farmers Branch and any new trees planted. Now, therefore, I, Terry Lynn, Mayor of the City of Farmers Branch, do hereby proclaim that the date of November 1st, 2024, as Arbor Day. And here to say a few words is Robert Diaz.
Thank you, sir. Robert Diaz, Parks and Rec Director. I just wanted to say a few things about this. Is we've been Tree City USA status since 1984, which is, I think, we were one of the first communities in the Metroplex to get Tree City. In addition to the proclamation, last weekend, the Public Works Department did the tree giveaway again. I think this is the third year they've done that and given out 200 trees to local residents. And then we will be, in honor of Arbor Day on the 1st, on that Friday, we're working with our park board to do a tree planting in one of our local parks. And that'll kind of be and typically Arbor Day is celebrated in Texas in November just because normally around the country it's usually in April. But because if you plant trees here in Texas in April, typically they have a hard time making it through the summer. So Texas has recognized it in November. So I appreciate the mayor and the proclamation. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. We do have one more item, item G3, which is considering accepting a donation on behalf of the Animal Adoption Center in the amount of $400,000 from the Margaret Fondabasso Estate and approving Resolution 2024-225, take appropriate action. For this ceremonial item, There is no one here in person this evening to make the donation, but the City of Farmers Branch would like to thank the estate of Margaret Fontabasso for their generous donation of $400,000 to be used towards the Animal Adoption Center. These funds will be spent to provide the best care possible for all the animals at the adoption center. And I'm going to ask once again, is there anybody here from Fontabasso family? I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Council, I will need a vote on this item to approve Resolution 2024-225, accepting the donation. I will tell our audience members this evening and those watching at home, our electronic counter is not working this evening, so every vote that we take will be a show of hands vote. So,
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-225 to accept the donation on behalf of the Animal Adoption Center in the amount of $400,000.
I'll second that.
thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please, show of hands. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you to the Fontabasso family for this most generous gift to the city's Animal Adoption Center. Next up are items of community interest.
Thank you, Mayor. Farmers Branch residents looking for a family-friendly and non-scary trick-or-treating experience are invited to the Haunts and Houses event this Thursday, October 24th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Farmers Branch Historical Park. Come in your best costume and enjoy Booville as you trick-or-treat around the historical park with your favorite costume characters. This is a free event, but it is recommended for children up to 8 years of age. Do you have expired or unused medications cluttering up your medicine cabinet? If so, make sure you stop by the Farmers Branch Police Department on Saturday, October 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Drug Take Back event. It's a quick, simple, easy way to ensure that those old expired medications don't end up in the wrong hands and are disposed of in a safe manner. This Halloween, enjoy all the treats without any of the tricks at the Rec Center and Aquatic Center from 4 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st for the Halloween trick-or-treat event. Remember to wear your Halloween costumes and bring all of your friends and family for a hauntingly good time. And then mark your calendars for the annual Farmers Branch Veterans Day celebration on Monday, November 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Farmers Branch Recreation Center. Make sure to come, enjoy, and be involved in the patriotic ceremony, a performance by a live brass band, and the presentation of the Charlie Bird Spirit of Service Award. Following the ceremony, guests are invited to enjoy a complimentary hot dog lunch with Texas corn. The first 100 guests will receive a commemorative coin, and then the first 300 guests will receive a commemorative hat. And then, as always, you can sign up for City E-News at farmersbranchtx.gov. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Next up is citizen comment. There's a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak with a reasonable limitation on speakers of one topic or maximum of 15 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. No disparaging or inflammatory remarks directed at any member of the city council, city staff, or board or commission will be allowed. So when I call your name, if you would please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and then you will have 3 minutes, and the little green, yellow, and red buttons up there on the podium will tell you when your time is up. First up, I have, please forgive me if I don't say this right, Semenit Chergosha. Submitted by Chair Gosha. Okay. Next up is Terry Simons.
Mayor, Council, my name is Terry Simons. I reside at 2646 Danny Lane here in Farmers Branch. I know that the mayor and the city manager and Councilmember Roman are aware of an ongoing code issue violation at 2656 Danny Lane. As of last night, the fire department and the police department were called out there. The code enforcement has been working pretty diligently to resolve many code issues that are out there. Shauna and I are in the process of having plans drawn to build a new house at the current location where we live. We have a hard time investing money in a new residence when we have a property owner, or a renter, I should say, that lives 2 doors down, that has been collecting trash because he goes dumpster diving. The smell is horrendous. The backyard and the front yard is not something that any of you would want in your neighborhood. I do appreciate city staff staying on top of this. We're waiting on a court date. He has been cited. There are violations. Just want to make everyone aware, I am not going away. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That is all that I have that have signed up to speak in citizen comment. So next up will be our consent agenda. Next up is our consent agenda. I'll entertain motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, by show of hands, please indicate all in favor. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up is regular agenda items. Item L1, consider approving Resolution 2024-217, authorizing the city manager to execute an interlocal cooperation agreement with MetroCrest Hospital Authority, the Town of Addison, and the City of Coppell to purchase land for the new North Texas Emergency Communications Center, NTEC, and take appropriate action.
Mayor, Council, Jawaria Tareen, Deputy City Manager. The agenda item I have in front of you today is a request for the City Council to approve Resolution Number 2024-217, authorizing the City Manager to execute an ILA between MetroCrest Hospital Authority, Town of Addison, Carrollton, Coppell, and City of Farmers Branch for the purchase of land for NTEC building. This is the first step in our effort towards building a new NTEC facility. Just to give you a brief background on the NTEC discussion that was part of our budget discussion, the maximum cost for the project is $22.263 million. Farmers Branch share is $5 million, which was approved as part of our budget process. The land cost is $3.1 million. Farmers Branch share, however, out of this $3.1 million is only $718,000 approximately. The slide here gives a brief information about the land. We have 4.1 acres. It's being purchased from MetroCrest Hospital Authority. It is a prime location for the public safety radio network connectivity. I have this brief, the slide that only gives an overlay of the location, and I'm here for any question that you may have.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Councilman Roman?
As part of the total projected cost for this project is, there we go, the $22.263 million. That does include a contingency in there?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we hear more about this project, I will ask this question again just to make sure. But so far, in terms of the land acquisition cost, is that within the expected cost of the entire project, or?
It is.
Okay.
It is for Farmers Branch because each city has their own share. Farmers Branch is $5 million. So for us, it's going to be within us. Like the slide present the information, we have 718. That's our cost to cover.
And I will, as we get more updates throughout this project, I'm going to ask that question again because just as we've seen with other projects, sometimes they go over
Yeah.
in budget. And so I just want to make sure that we're following along as these purchases are being made and as we're giving approval to make these purchases and knowing where, if at all, the project goes above. So
Yep.
it sounds like we're okay for now, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Baird? Councilman Reed? Councilman Neal? Very good. This item is marked for action.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item R 2024-217.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please signify by a show of hands. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is item L2. Consider approving Resolution 2024-173, authorizing the purchase of two 2028 Pierce Custom Velocity pumpers and one 2028 Pierce Custom Velocity aerial 105-foot ladder for the fire department from the Sitters Martin Emergency Group to the Texas Local Government Purchasing Cooperative by Board in the amount of $3,677,627 and take appropriate action.
Hi, good evening. Catherine Lee, Deputy Director of Finance, Fleet and Facilities. So today we're going to come to you with the purchase of fire apparatuses. So why are we purchasing now? So these apparatuses have about a 4-year lead time. So we'll buy it now, we'll get it in 4 years. So if we place our order by today, or if we place our order by October 30th, we will get a discount. Additionally, these prices are going up on November 2nd. We have explored other vendors and they have been significantly higher. So we are bringing these to y'all. So what are we purchasing? We're purchasing two Pierce Custom Velocity pumpers. So these are fire engines. And we're also purchasing one 2028 Pierce Custom Velocity aerial 105 feet. So that's a fire truck with a ladder, 105-foot ladder. So how are we paying for this? We are paying for this using bonds that we issued and sold on September 17th. We received the proceeds on October 11th. So by doing this as a bulk purchase, we're saving $587,000 by prepaying, and then we're also getting a trade-in total amount for $161,000. So the total cost for all three apparatus, so that's two fire engines and a fire truck, $3.7 million. We do want to stress that we were expecting these costs to be higher, and so we do have some savings there. And then the bond funds will only be applied to public safety equipment and vehicles. So this is the fleet replacement schedule. As you can see, these are the vehicles we have. The ones in yellow are the ones that we are going to be replacing. So with that, happy to answer any questions. We have the fire chiefs here, and
Thank you very much. Council, do we have any questions? Councilman Roman?
When is the trade-in happening?
Daniel Latimer, Fire Chief. The trade-in will happen once we receive the apparatus and they go into service. So we'll receive them approximately in 4 years. And then there's the time that we have to switch the equipment from the current apparatus to the new apparatus, because we use the same equipment, transfer that over. And once it's placed in service, then we trade it in to Sitters Martin.
Okay, and then how did you arrive at the trade-in amount, given that it's going to be traded in at a future date? And do you feel comfortable about that estimate?
Yes, sir, I do. We use Kevin, I thought he's back, there he is right there. Ryan Arch right there from Fleet to do this. I do feel comfortable on this, this being several apparatuses we've done with the trade-ins. We have the option to either auction or trade them in. There's the two. In the past, with the previous fleet directors as well, we've seen that the auction did not bring that much value in when we go that route. The trade-in is done through Sitters Martin, the ones that we're buying this through, and they come up with their estimate through that, and it is a very good trade-in value. We got Chief Langford, I'd like to give him the credit. He's my chairman on the committee, and he worked that with our rep, and he got a good trade-in value for that.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Baird. Councilman Reed?
Based on that chart I saw, it looks like the majority of the vehicles are Pierce.
Yes, sir, they're all Pierce.
So how do, can I assume that saves us a lot from ordering parts and keeping parts in stock and accessibility
Yes, sir.
to replacement equipment that way?
Very good question. And yes, sir, you are correct with that statement as well. And that's one of the things we partner with Kevin, work very close with Fleet on that. It is because you have all the same parts there. And then another great thing about Pierce and Sins Martin, as Kevin can testify, and Chief Langford as well, is their service ability. Other manufacturers and distributors do not have what Sins Martin and Pierce have. They have the service ability that we can send those out to that also helps free up our workers there in Fleet.
Thank you. Councilman Neal.
Yeah, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you working so hard on this, and please convey my thanks and appreciation to you and your staff for making these purchases well under budget, and by my calculations, a savings of about $700,000 to the city.
Yes,
and
sir.
I just want to make sure that that's noted, and I think that's a very good job with the expenditures that we have. With the purchase of this additional equipment, will it facilitate you in any way with respect to having a backup unit or an inventory of other units? If one happens to go down, will you have another unit that can fill in? Will this help in that way, or will you?
We'll continue with the same model that we have right now, where there's one reserve aerial for our two, and then one reserve engine. So the model won't change. It'll still stay the same with our 4 front line and 2 in reserve. But what it will do, and you're getting perfectly there too, is, and great question, is that it's going to help us, as you see in that chart, our replacement schedule, is what we've been battling for the last 4 years since our new administration, and with the help of City Management and Council, is getting out of this 20-plus year fleet that we have. And so this is taking another step there. So our reserves there will be way younger, which they're not really reserves. We call them second line because they're running constantly as well because of maintenance schedules and everything else. And so, yes, sir, it will help. That model piece that you're getting to will be significantly better for our city.
Great. And for myself and the residents, each of these units carry water on them?
Yes, sir.
And how much water on each of the units?
We've got 500 gallons on each of these
Okay,
units.
so each unit carries about 500 gallons.
Yes, sir.
And the one ladder truck that you're purchasing can extend how high?
105 feet.
105 feet. What is that, 8 stories?
So we
9
usually
stories?
anywhere from about 10 feet per stories where we go. So we're looking right
Okay.
there about 10 feet,
Okay.
10 stories
That's
up there
great.
approximately.
Good.
And to add to your comment, if you don't mind, I'd like to give the thanks to Assistant Chief Shan Langford, as I stated, because he is the one that runs this project for us in the fire department. And he has a committee of other battalion chiefs and captains there, but he's the reason why we came underneath the budget, just to make the statement to thank you for that, because he works really hard on that. And we've gone to conferences and looked at other manufacturers. And just to state, I won't state the city, but if you look on social media, there was a very close town city nearby that bought an apparatus for $2.77 million, and we got 3 for 3.6. So that's to Chief Langford's credit. So
Excellent. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll make sure that you're the first one who gets to go up the 105-foot ladder.
it won't be
When
his
we
first
get
time.
All right, this item is marked for action, so entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2024-173 as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, by show of hands, please indicate. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
Next up is item L3, consider approving resolution 2024-180, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 5-year agreement with Samsara Incorporated for the purchase of fleet and asset tracking software and licensing in the amount of $289,351, utilizing Sourcewell Cooperative Agreement, and take appropriate action.
Hi again, Catherine Lee, Deputy Director of Finance, Fleet and Facilities. I have my fleet manager, Kevin Reinhardt, here, as well as Andrew Kent from Samsara to help answer any questions. So just a little background, we currently use 2 different fleet tracking softwares. We have Verizon Reveal, that's for any non-police department cars or vehicles, and we have US Fleet Trackers. That's what the police department is using. Combined, we have 135 licenses. So To put that in perspective, that's about 41% of our assets being tracked. So Verizon tracks the mileage data, location data, and trouble codes, and then Fleet Tracker only tracks location and situation status of the vehicles. The situation status is whether the lights are going woo, 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 woo. So that's where our background is. So Samsara Fleet and Asset Tracking. We're requesting to move both non-police vehicles and police vehicles onto one system. It'll allow for uniformity. In addition to tracking GPS and mileage, Samsara will also track engine hour data that will automatically import into the fuel management system and the fleet information management system. So these systems allow for advanced sensor data such as engine coolant temperature, fuel level, tire pressure, and battery voltage. We've been testing some of these little trackers out, and an example is we have one in the ambulance, and it notified Kevin that it was out, so Kevin was able to call the fire department up, let them know that one of their generators had gone out and saving a bunch of the medication in the fridge. So these units will capture real-time driver data to improve efficiency, safety, and productivity. So a cost breakdown. So right now with Verizon, we're paying about $15.95 per asset per month. So if 188 assets tracked, that's total costing us $20,671. For the U.S. Fleet Tracker, it's about $31 a month, $31.43 a month, and we have 27, so that's costing us just over $10,000. So Samsara has offered us a 5-year contract. The first year will be subsidized, so we're going to cover all 330 assets. So that's not just vehicles, that will include our fueling systems, that'll include mowers, that'll include just every asset that we can track. So that breaks down to about $763 an asset per month, which will be $30,208. So that's going to be about the same price we're paying right now for both Verizon and U.S. Fleet Tracker, but for all assets. Years 2 through 5 will be a little higher. It'll be $1,636 an asset per asset per month. So it would cost about spread over $64,000 a year. Now, there is a clause in our contract that if we're not happy with the service, as long as we give them a 60-day notice in the first year, we can cancel with no penalties. So what are some of the benefits of Samsara? So we can increase our mobile productivity, we can minimize our fleet risk, we can maximize our energy efficiency, we could keep an eye on who is idling, so we can reduce our idling waste. We can do utilization report. We could see which vehicles are being underutilized. We can right-size our fleet, and that'll help with the clean fleet policy, both of those things. Additionally, the GPS tracking, so what is the business case for it? Well, we can tell where people are and see if they're where they say they are supposed to be, and if there are any allegations, we can either confirm or disprove those allegations. So with that, I'm open to any questions.
Council have any questions? Councilman Barron?
As fleet additions are made through the contract, is that just added on a monthly basis?
So we don't typically add, we rarely add fleet. We would probably replace fleet, so we would just have a replacement. But yes, if there is a need for us to, if we do add an additional asset, we would
Just
add
that
additional,
monthly
yes.
fee added on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Reed?
And can you just explain the benefit of combining the two different tracking systems into one
Sure.
tracking system?
Sure. So there's a couple things. So Verizon Connect that doesn't give us all the data we want, and nor does the GPS, the fleet tracker. And so I don't think they're not compatible. Is it compatible with Fleetio? Okay.
Kevin Reinhardt's the Fleet Operations Manager. So the Verizon gives us some mileage information, but it's based on GPS mileage. So if that device loses cell connection, my mileage in my fleet management system starts to drift from what the odometer says. So that's not a very good thing for a fleet manager to properly maintain the fleet. The U.S. Fleet Tracker gives me no data at all into my fleet management system. Samsara gives me advanced sensor data, so I can see what tire pressure is on some of the vehicles remotely. So it gives me the ability to proactively repair our fleet before the departments need it fixed. We can fix it before they need it to. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're getting more effective and more efficient information, and in the long run is actually going to save us more money because we're able to proactively address issues.
That's the plan.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilman Neal?
Yeah, thank you. Do you know if there's any other surrounding jurisdictions around us that are utilizing the Samsara platform?
We do know. We prepared for this. So Kevin had found out about Samsara at I'm just giving you a little bit more history. He had gone to a conference, seen it, checked out other competing brands, talked to several people, and so he got referrals from Louisville, Grand Prairie, and The Colony are all current customers of Samsara, and he got raving reviews from those places.
And you did some comparative analysis with competing brands?
Yes,
And
so
were they solicited for input or participation in what we're doing here at all, or?
we looked at pricing off of the Sourcewell contract. Some of them are on other cooperatives, and based off of the pricing, they're all very, very close in price.
Okay. And so this product is compatible with all our fleet, including the new fire vehicles that we just purchased, or is everything going to be compatible and work without issue and
Yes.
additional
Yes,
cost for
yeah.
conversion or whatnot? So how long, if we get this approved, when does the sort of conversion start, and how long does that take to convert everything over to this new?
So we do have a plan to install. We're going to first install the police vehicles. So that's going to be, we put about 30 days to install all the trackers in the vehicles. We're hoping to have the whole process done within 90 days.
So during that installation on the police vehicles and/or fire vehicles, do those units need to be taken down and out of service during that?
No, we plan to be on site. We plan to go to the police department and just either when the vehicle's there and no one's using it, we'll install. But we'll coordinate with the police department on scheduling and
Okay,
making
so
sure
there's
that.
no downtime
No.
for the public safety, and that's good to hear. So, and thank you for your answers, and that's all I have for now.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
A couple questions, I guess. My pain point in this is we're now going to track more assets, which includes vehicles as well as pieces of equipment. And I guess if I'm understanding this correctly, our current cost breakdown is about 30 grand a year. Okay? The 5-year contract is about $30,000. More vehicles, more assets, I should say, but $30,000 for year one, and then doubles for years 2 through 5. That's where I have difficulty. I would expect to see some efficiencies, or why would we sign a multi-year deal and not just go year to year?
So I understand your concern. So there is a clause in the contract, if we don't have funding, if we are not happy with the product, we can cancel it. We've talked with Samsara to confirm that our understanding of that clause is correct. It's gone through our attorneys, and staff is comfortable with the language that's in there, that if either we can't find funding for year 2, or if we're not happy with it, we can cancel this product with no penalties.
Well, again, did we shop other cities to see what they're paying? Have we shopped other cities to see levels of satisfaction? Have we have any data that shows how many cities have opted in terms of year one, maybe didn't renew after year one? Do we know comparable cities in terms of how many assets they're tracking to know whether this is a beneficial deal to the city?
I'm going to see if Andrew is with Samsara. I'll see if he can help address some of those questions.
Hi, Mayor. Andrew Kent with Samsara. Could you just kind of clarify what exactly you were looking for?
Well, okay, I'll make it real simple.
Okay.
I'm looking for a better price on years 2 through 5. You know, we go from year one at $30,000 to year 2 at $64,000, year 3, $64,000. et cetera.
Yeah.
And that didn't sit well with me. It gave me a little heartburn.
Sure.
You know, I'm just spending my money and you've doubled my cost. And so I guess I was expecting something.
Yeah, I think part of the reason that we threw this out there and proposed this to them was actually we were covering that $36,000 differential that was, otherwise it would have been a $60,000 purchase based on the number of assets they were looking to bring online. So it's actually a subsidy that we as a company are eating the $36,000. It's not as though your price is just going up. If you look at the per unit cost associated with years 2 through 5, that's more in line with what the cost is associated on the Sourcewell contract. So you're actually getting more than double the number of units that you guys are tracking today at a very similar price if you look at the average of the U.S. fleet tracking and Verizon prices. Does that make sense? If you look at the total number of assets that are currently tracked is about 131, and we're going up to about 330 pieces.
I understand that. So the equipment that's going in, should the city elect not to continue at any point in time, do you all come back and take that equipment out?
We actually provide all of the hardware for free, so the only thing you guys are paying for is the licensure. And should you cancel, you guys can just pull it out, e-waste it, get rid of it. It'd be essentially a brick for you guys.
Okay. Well, those were my questions. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions.
You know, further reflection, we're almost tripling the number of assets. Are there assets that really don't require this level of tracking? I know you had mentioned mowers. What benefit do we get tracking mowers?
So there's different levels of the trackers. So the vehicle gateway is going to be your more advanced tracker, and there's different levels of trackers that go down in price per unit. So tracking a mower is going to be less per asset than a vehicle is, but the benefit to having tracking on a mower is it gives our departments the analytics to be able to right-size their fleet and determine how many labor hours it takes to mow a field. We can track when the mowers are actually mowing and where they're mowing at, so we can know better how to serve the city. So the information that we get from this can be extremely beneficial to all of the departments and how they maintain their operations. So it's a tool that we can use to potentially save some money, save some costs, or right-size our fleet, make sure we have the right equipment to do the right job throughout the city. So.
Okay, and it seems like it's also a means to check on the efficiency of the staff that's utilizing the equipment as well.
Yeah, potentially. The information will be there for the managers to, use how they see fit. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How did you derive the 330 assets as opposed to 200 or?
Yeah, so my fleet management system gives me, how many assets we own as a city that I'm tracking as a fleet manager. That's where that number came from. So these are the assets that I, as a fleet manager, am responsible for maintaining throughout its life cycle. So that's how we got to that.
I just have some similar concerns that Councilman Reed mentioned, whether we need to do all 330 or not, but it's just a comment that I have about it.
Yeah.
So. If we were to do less than 330, obviously the cost would go down, right?
Correct.
Is product going to aid in the event that something gets stolen?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have real-time GPS tracking of all of our critical assets. So if it comes missing or we just misplace it, we'll be able to find it a lot faster. We'll also be able to quicker response times to emergency situations. Where is this specific piece of equipment that we need? Is it at the fleet shop or is it at the Senlac Service Center is at, which fire station is it at? So there's a lot of, other benefits to the system besides just knowing where things are too.
So I'd like to ask City Manager, is this something that you're endorsing?
So blanket endorsement, I'll be honest, no, but I'd like to see is I believe it's a good investment on the forefront. I'd like to see the team gather data for 9 of those 12 months, come back to the council and show the council that it's been a worthwhile investment before the price doubles and make sure this is the right number of assets. I don't believe a blanket endorsement for the lifetime is prudent. I believe starting the process though, at the 30,000, I believe is a good price because it's already in alignment with what we're doing. Bring it back and show the value, because right now you're claiming a perceived value, which is important. You need to have a business case, which you have. But for that price to jump, it's important to show how you've been able to turn that different data. Data for the sake of data is great. Data to value to this council is also very important. So I'd like to see as in 9 months you come back if council approves this and show why it should stay in the budget. And I'm assuming we can modify the number of assets we're tracking as well and renegotiate terms in the contract should there be any changes in that number as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, if we needed to cancel and go through that, we certainly could. And I'd also like to offer, we do have an entire business value services team that has done stuff with Irving, with Corpus Christi. So there's lots of agencies that we've put an annual review together for. So we'd be happy to have that team work with you guys so that you can see the before, the after, and then hopefully some of the endorsements from the other kind of agencies we're working with, police, fire, parks and rec, things like that. So
I think that would be helpful.
yeah.
And that would be my recommendation to my council is I wouldn't just say accept it for the sake of accepting. It's a lot of money, but to bring it back and show how we're using the data. I think that's very important.
So you're talking about bringing it back in after 9 months?
Yes, bring
Yeah.
it back before we hit that next year contract that doubles in price.
Understood. Okay. Hey, council, anything else? No, we'll just make a motion. Okay, thank you. This item is marked for action.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2024-180 as presented.
Thank you.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. If you would, please signify by raising hands. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up is item L4, consider approving Resolution 2024-140 and Resolution 2024-219, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with UMR for medical insurance and ProAct for pharmacy insurance for the plan years 2025 and 2026 in the budgeted amount of $5.4 million and take appropriate action.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We are bringing back a presentation which we had in a previous work session, trying to get approval for that 2025-2026. We have a short presentation. Lance Penley is here. He's our Senior Vice President of McGriff. McGriff is our broker that helps us navigate these medical and pharmacy benefits. So Lance, if you'd like to go ahead, and here you go. That's the clicker.
Where do I point that?
Yeah, just click it.
There we go. Mayor, good to see you. Members of council, Lance Penley, McGriff Insurance Services. Yeah, as Yoko mentioned, this is a refresher of the September 10th work session where I went through and visited with all of you on the state of the health plan for the city of Farmers Branch. We will skip through some of the information on McGriff since I covered that in the work session. But the city of Farmers Branch is self-insured for medical and pharmacy claims. United Healthcare owns a third-party administrator that goes by the name of UMR. That's where we capture our medical administration. So all of our medical claims for our employees flow through UMR. We do have one plan design that we offer the employees of the city. It's a high deductible health plan paired with a health savings account. So the employees receive money from the city to put into their health savings account, and they can contribute additional funds into that account on a tax-free basis. You see the numbers here for employee only. employee plus one, and employee plus two or more, those different amounts that the city contributes. And we also talked about in the work session that employees are eligible for more seed money if they participate in the wellness program and do some of the things that the city requests of them to do. And then we have a third party for our pharmacy benefit manager as well. So we're coming before you to seek approval or authorization for approval for the pharmacy contract with ProAct as well for the plan years 25 and 26. And they are an independent pharmacy benefit manager that the city's worked with for a number of years. So we are also changing the medical premiums effective January 1st. So this happens on a calendar year, not a fiscal year, but we are, and we talked about in the work session, a small change to the rates both on the employer side and the employee side. This is really more of an advertised rate versus budget, but it does align closely with the budget that was approved for fiscal year 25. So you'll see that the employee premiums are going up on an employee basis just under $20 from $55.56 up to $73.62. Employee plus one, $233.34 up to $269.45. And family going from $350 up to $404.17. And as a point of reference, in that work session, it's been roughly 10 years since we've impacted the employees' rates. So we're trying to get back in line with the employer-employee splits in the contributions. All right, for fiscal year 24-25, our health claims fund 604, we're budgeted at $5.426 million, which is a 1.55% reduction to the 2023-24 budget, basically flat. We've had some great years from a claims perspective. And then that budget does include medical and pharmacy claims. That makes up a majority of our budget, 604. We will be bringing back stop-loss insurance to you in November to approve that. That's a contract we have to approve on an annual basis, and we do procure that every year. And then the administration fees that we pay to UMR and ProAct and other third parties. So national trends show inflationary increases in medical and pharmacy averaging 8 to 10% annually, and we work with the city management on those budgetary increases as needed. And then changes to the cost allocation strategy require us to keep up with an inflationary trend. So the reason for the premium increases to the employees for calendar year 2025. And I'm here to answer questions for you.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Councilman Baird? Reed? Councilman Neal?
Just on this slide regarding monthly medical rates, you have old rates and new rates. When you say old rates, is that last year's or the year before, or?
Yeah, sorry, Councilman. Yes, that's the current rate. So that's this year, January 1st, 2024 through December 31st of 2024. These are the advertised rates that we have for both the city and the employees.
Okay, and by my calculations, it looks like for family and family plus one, we're having an increase of about 15% to the employee and about 31 or 32% for an individual. Is that my math correct?
That is correct. So employee only is a 33% increase, and then employee one, family is a 15. So you were correct on that.
Okay. And then there's a breakdown there. You have percentage split, 82% employee, 82 for employer, 18 for employee. And you're adjusting that a little bit now also, or is that just the way the numbers work out? Or because I remember there was a discussion about bringing this a little bit differently from 80-20 to, I'm not sure what the target is, if it's.
So that is the target. So the target overall is trying to get to that 80. We're currently, and when we look at the 8218, that's all three of those levels together. With these adjustments, it's moving it a tad bit to that 8119, so it's closer towards our goal of an 80-20 split. But within each level, so like employee plus one, employee only, and a family, those splits within those tiers are a little different as well. So if you look more granular into that, you'll see different splits in that as well. So that's one reason why your employee only is a 33% increase.
Okay, and so next year, we may be in a position to go 80-20. Would there also be potential increase in rates for employees at that point
So-
on top of this?
I mean, it's your decision, but once we move rates, I would recommend you keep them because it's a 2-year renewal. So that's what we're asking for. So that's 25, 26. What we're going to be doing with McGriff for the 27 year, we need to go out to RFP again. So we're going to need to go out to bid. So that's going to be a whole nother process where it'll give us a different look. It might even include different type of plans. So that might be a year where we're kind of rediscussing that piece.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Anything else? Any other questions? Do have one, and that is regarding the stop loss.
Yes, sir.
I know that's coming back in November.
Yes, sir.
But that's not an additional charge. That's in this. So we will discuss it and approve it, but it's already being incorporated into this 5.4 million.
Yes, sir. We've already accounted for a potential increase in that policy as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. Again, item is marked for action.
Sorry, what did you say? Oh, my for action.
Yes.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve our 2024-140.
And? Oh, excuse me, that includes both. Sorry.
And 2024-219.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please indicate by show of hands. All in favor?
Yeah, I wanted to make one point here. We need to have insurance for our employees by the beginning of the year. If we don't, we will face fees from the federal government for not providing insurance. So what we're asking is approval on getting this renewal. Open enrollment starts October 31st. We need to have fees out there so our employees know exactly what they're going to be charged.
I have a question. So can we go back to the chart that talks about
Councilman, hold on. We are in the middle of a motion.
Sorry, y'all are in the middle of a motion. I just want to make sure we're
Yeah.
there, Mayor, at your meeting.
Mayor, I'm going to pull my vote back.
You are not voting in favor? Correct. Okay. So let me do this again. All in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2024-140 and Resolution 2024-219? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion does not pass. We had 1 for, 2 against, well, 1 abstention. An abstention is essentially a yes vote.
I just had some questions.
Oh, then,
That's why I didn't.
okay.
It can be counted as an abstention if, it can be counted as an abstention if if the motion has already been made and I didn't think quick enough to jump in and ask my question.
Then let's take a step back. If we can.
This motion, it's been called, the vote's been taken, it does fail, so that motion's failed on the table. We can bring more motions, we can have more discussions, if that's the will of the council.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to make sure that we're doing it properly. So if you'd like to have more discussion on this, and then you can call for another vote. So Councilman, you have the floor.
Do you mean a call for another vote, or the discussion is?
Well, I'll,
Okay.
you can make another motion.
I do have some questions before, okay.
Ask your question.
Okay, good. Can we go back to that slide where it breaks out, that one? Okay. So how many individuals that are currently enrolled in health insurance are employee only, and then how many are employee plus one?
The numbers for employee only is our projections. Let's see, here we go. So for employee only, there's 180. For employee plus one, there's 46.
Yoko, pull the mic down a little bit so we can hear you.
Employee only is 180, employee plus one is 46, and employee family is 140. So a total of 366.
Okay, let me just do some quick math on my end. Okay, sorry, so I'm just wanting to go through the rates, and I'll share kind of what I was doing on my end, what I was thinking about, so that the rest of the council who can't see my little note over here can understand what I'm doing. So if I'm looking at this, we have 180 employees who are on the projected to be on the employee-only plan. So if I'm looking at the employee contribution in a percentage of the total rate, that means that that employee would be paying 11.7%, and the city would be paying 88.3%. Then for employee plus one, the employee contribution would be 21.5%, and the city would be paying 78.5%. And there's 46 people that are projected to be enrolled in that one. And then for the family, it's
The same.
21.
Yep.
It's the same
79.
thing, yeah, same thing for that. How did you decide what
Right.
percentages went where?
That's exactly what I was talking about, once you start looking into the nuances of each level. So currently, if you look at that employee only, the split is a 90-10 split. So the city's paying 90% of that premium, the employee's paying 10% of that premium. Currently, on employee plus one, it's the 79-21 that you calculated, and same as the family, 79-21. So if you look at all three of those pillars, the one that's really off from that 80-20 is that employee only, because it's a 90-10 split. So remember, we have a delta that we needed to fill, which was our current revenue that we're bringing in with that old, or our current rates, is about $4.6 million. What we're estimating for this coming year is a 5.2. So we have that delta of 600,000, and that's where we needed to fill. So we needed to get, either the city is going to pay 100% of that 600, or we split the difference, right? And so what we were looking at that $600,000 delta, we were going to look at it 75 of that 600 we were going to put towards the city. 25 of that 600, the employees were going to cover. And so the reason why the employee only is a 33% increase was because we're trying to get them closer from that 90-10, so it moves them to that exact calculation, 88, 12? And so if you moved it more drastically than that, it would be such a hit. So you kind of gradually move it to where it's even to what the splits are on employee plus and employee family.
Okay.
So that's exactly what I was trying to go through and you calculated it.
Okay, and
Yep.
so is the goal that eventually the split will be on a percentage basis the same for all of the 3 tiers?
You want, where we look at it overall is kind of where we look at it, that 82-18, and we move it to 81-19. We want that split to be 80-20. But if, I mean, right now, the employee plus one in the family, they're at a good range. They're 79-21. If we can move that employee only down a little, we gradually do that. So we hope that they're kind of in that same range. But right now, it's really off. You have a 90-10 split compared to 79, what was that, 79, I can't even think, 21.
Okay,
So that's the reason why that one employee is pretty much double.
got it.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
a little delayed in my thinking as I was looking at these numbers and then calculating it.
No, you were
And then the
exact,
motion was
yeah.
going, and I was like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm good. Any other?
So I do remember when we had the original presentation, and I don't know when that was, but I'm sure the information that I think you're getting at was in that original. And that's when I asked you the question, because we had been told by prior management that the employees were paying a third of their health care insurance premium. And that was not the case, right? That was not.
Yeah, I think maybe they were including out-of-pocket expenses and things like that. But to answer your question on premiums alone,
But,
that was
yes,
not the case.
so we got that settled, and, because it was not even close to where
Yeah,
we were.
and when I got on council in 2022, I was told the same thing.
Right.
And you were right before, you weren't on council anymore, but yeah, I was
Right.
told the same thing.
And so we talked about our world here versus the private sector, because typically you're paying about a third, 70-30, or, something like that. And that was not the case. And we understood that at I guess, September meeting. So that's fine. This has moved up, I will say, some to make it more equitable. I think whatever we do, you got to remember at the end of the day, it's the residents' money that's paying for this. And so we have to be good stewards of their money and whatnot, and trying to balance that equity with taking care of our employees also. And so that's,
And Mayor, I'd like to also reiterate, in the last meeting, I think we talked about when the rates were set in 2014 at that 55, 233, 350, that year, the plan year was $3.6 million. This year, we're looking at an estimated 4.7, and what we have revenue is like a 4.6. And then next year, we're estimating a 5.2. So in 14, we're taking these rates at a $3.6 million plan, and now we're going to be possibly at a $5.2 million plan.
so, yes. And so that is all information that we covered. Our employees have to have insurance. We realize that. We want them to be healthy and safe. So hopefully, everybody pass that along. Healthy and safe employees. It helps everybody. So any further questions or comments by anybody else? Councilman?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm all for the employees having insurance. Don't get me wrong on that. I do. I just want to make sure we're being very mindful of all the aspects of this. I just have a little bit of heartburn with 33% increase for those individuals. That's quite a bit, double what the others are having to pay. It's a little bit hard to swallow. In addition to that, this locks us in for 2 years. And you said next year you're projecting a further increase to 5.2 million. So I'm just trying to digest some of those numbers and having a hard time with some of that.
So the 5.2 is for 25, and that's where this is coming from. Like, That's calculated into these rates.
That's this.
Yeah.
So 25 and 26.
Right. I mean, we'll look at 26, but I do not anticipate another increase in 26
Yeah,
in terms of that.
What we're trying to get approval tonight for for the city manager to negotiate our contracts with UMR and PROACT. The rates, we can come back to the council annually if that's, the edict that we're given and talk about what the rates need to be. This is what we've proposed for calendar year '25, and as Yoko mentioned, we are already in open enrollment planning starting for next week. So we can, and we do, my city customers can and will revisit the rates as no more than an annual basis, because the rates need to be in place for 12 months. But you can, city management can review that. We can bring information back to the council on an annual basis. But what's on the agenda tonight is to try to get these contracts approved.
Bingo. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
All righty. So with that being said, I appreciate the patience there. I move to approve resolution number 2024-140 and resolution number 2024-219 as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have motion and a second. If you would, please signify your vote by show of hands. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor.
All righty. We do not have any business at this time to take care of as a result of executive session. We are not finished with executive session, so we will be adjourning this portion of our meeting and going back to executive session. So that will conclude, we will recess this meeting until we finish executive session, and then we will come back at some further point tonight to take any action if necessary as a result of executive session. So please take 15 minutes, and we will see you in the conference room. Welcome back, everybody. We do have some action as a result of executive session this evening. And so the first one relates to item D1. And I will just report that we will be amending the city manager's contract to extend for 3 years. It also provides for a one-time 2% increase, and we will have annual reviews each October. Next is item D2, related to Project 5B.
Mayor, I move that the city manager be authorized to, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and execute an economic development incentive agreement with Monotronics for location of their build-to-suit project within the city of Farmers Branch, providing for a rebate of 50% of the company's sales tax to be taxes paid to the city for 5 consecutive years, and a rebate of 25% of the company's sales taxes paid to the city for 6 consecutive years, as well as a 25% rebate of real property tax paid to the city for 10 consecutive years, subject to 1, the company leasing a new facility in the city of Farmers Branch for the entire term of the agreement, 2, the taxable value of the company's sales tax located within the city being not less than $20 million quarterly, and 3, such additional terms and conditions the city manager determines to be reasonable, necessary, and in the best interest of the city.
Very good, thank you. We have motions.
I'll second.
Thank you, motion and a second. If you would indicate your vote by raising your hand, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously, thank you. Next up is item D3, which is project purpose.
Mayor, I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and execute an economic development incentive agreement with Centurion for location of their build-to-suit project within the city of Farmers Branch, providing for a rebate of 25% rebate of real property tax not to exceed $10 million paid to the city over 10 consecutive years, subject to the company leasing a new facility in the city of Farmers Branch for the entire term of that agreement.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have motion and a second. If you would indicate by raising your hand, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Next is D4.
Mayor, I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and execute an amendment to the Presidium Valley View 1 and Valley View 2 Economic Development Incentive Agreement to extend the construction schedules for the project to grant an extension of 2 months and 6 months respectively.
Second.
Thank you. We have motion and a second. If you would please indicate your vote by raising your hand. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That is all of our business for this evening. We will adjourn at 9:54. Thank you.